While it is hard to believe the end of school, the whole year, is just 3 months away, less than that for the class of 2020. And as you know, we are now just 2 days away from a break that will do all of us a lot of good. I think it is important at moments like this one, on the verge of a pause and opportunity to reset, to try to capture what holds in our minds as we think about all we have been doing and look ahead to the time we have left with lofty aspirations for what I hope will be a terrific spring. In putting this talk together, I knew I wanted to try to continue to remind all of us about the importance of being engaged citizens. I knew I wanted to try to illuminate points in time when I saw or felt the school at its best. I knew I wanted to try to give you a window into the school from my vantage point through some of what I have picked up or thought about of late. Truthfully, I don't know whether what follows will hit the mark. You can be the judge. So here is my best effort. Later today, I will be in a meeting with a group of trustees, the board's executive committee, which includes officers and committee chairs, my bosses, and some administrative colleagues. In that meeting, I will share a brief update about the school and what is on my plate at the moment, our evolving approach to the coronavirus challenge, our admission picture for the coming year with decisions due to be shared with applicants on Tuesday of next week, an overview of where we are in our hiring effort for next year, and a sense about conversations we have had over the past month with alums and friends about ways in which they might serve and support the school's effort to continue going forward successfully. We will talk about our fundraising efforts, how the current year's budget is tracking, and lament the volatility of the financial markets. We'll look at emerging plans and ideas for campus projects still to come over the next few years. We'll be focused throughout the meeting on a wide range of initiatives and ideas aimed at strengthening our school. Tonight, I will join a number of colleagues in Boston for a reception with alums and parents centered on the work Mr. Burbank, Mr. Hesse, Ms. Miller, Ms. Musto, and Ms. Perkins do in and out of the classroom. Each of them will share some thoughts about teaching and working with all of you. Field questions from attendees who will be both excited to see them and impressed, as I will surely be, by the depth of their commitment and care to and for students. Later in the evening, I will share some thoughts with those attending, and to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure what I'm going to say. I'll have some ideas, of course, but seldom do I get to a place ahead of being at receptions with alums and parents when I have what I want to say fully squared away in my head. I never feel like there is anywhere near enough time to convey the depth of pride and good feeling I have about our school to those who do not live it on a daily basis in the ways that we do. But I will try. Through the course of the day, and then certainly at the end of the day, I know I will feel what I often feel, that I am surrounded by so many members of our whole school community who are engaged citizens, who contribute in different and deeply devoted ways to making our school better, who embody Brooks School at its best. I feel that way being with all of you today in this space, even with most or all of us in a tired state, anticipating a break, and maybe wishing I would just wrap this talk up and let you move on with the day. It's important to me, however, that I at least try to give you a sense of how I feel about our school from my vantage point, that I am clear about my pride in what we are, my hope about what we might still be, my belief that we can and should draw on what we have been at our best, while staying mindful of the need to evolve and change in ways that make our community stronger. My inspiration comes from this community, from its engaged citizenship, from moments when we have been at our best. Finding a route to more of both is an incredibly exciting notion to me. So in sharing what will be a somewhat random, not chronologically ordered, and incomplete set of moments from my and our winter, I also hope to point us in the direction of being inspired to find ways to ensure these moments multiply in number. In my view, the more we do to foster and realize these types of moments, outcomes, feelings, or whatever word is appropriate for what I have in mind, the better school we will be. I want to start with three quick stories about older alums. Two of them, Jack Soper from the class of 1942 and Jack Keating from the class of 1950, passed away in February at the ages of 96 and 87, respectively. The third, Tim Coburn, also from the class of 1942, is 96 years old, alive and well. Jack Soper was the grandfather of a student who graduated from Brooks in 2011, and one of many alums whose love for this school went all the way to his core. He wrote to me regularly, was always effusive in his praise, and definitely fed my ego. On Prize Day in 2011, I was up very early, as I always am, and I went to go out the front door of our home to walk over to my office. I got into that front room and noticed there was someone sitting on the steps. It was about 6:30 on a beautiful morning. So I opened the door and realized it was Jack, 87 at the time, and sharp as a tack. He was dressed for the occasion, Brooks graduate tie on. Had been there for about 1 hour already, he said, and told me he came to the headmaster's house first because he wanted to thank the school and me for the work we had all done on his grandson's behalf. And he wanted a good seat at Prize Day. Jack Keating is one of three brothers who graduated from Brooks between 1950 and 1958. He was 11 years old when he left Key West, Florida, for Brooks by train and became the youngest student to ever attend our school. The Keating Room in the dining hall is named after his brother, Tim, who graduated in 1953 and died at the age of 28 in 1962. Jack had not been well for some time, but with help from Mrs. Dobbins and our advancement office, he visited Brooks in the fall to have lunch here. He knew he was not well and wanted to visit one more time. He too was dressed for the occasion, Brooks school tie, was joined by his brother and daughter, and I had a brief chance to say hello over lunch. It was easy to tell how much being here mattered to him. Tim Coburn is a marvel, class of 1942. He attended his 75th reunion in 2017, and I bet we will see him for the first ever 80th reunion in 2022. For reference, the class of 2020 will have its 80th reunion in the year 2100. Think about that for a moment. Tim sends me a Christmas card every year. This year he did what he usually does in the notes he writes, recommended a couple of books he thought I should read. I haven't. Lamented the political climate in the country, and then finished with a quick quote I shared with our trustees in January, emblematic of the high degree to which his 6 years at Brooks, between 1936 and 1942, hold in his head and heart. He wrote, and I quote, "Brooks School remains in the front pew of my mind," end quote. To me, in ways that are perhaps hard to convey or pass along, this feels like Brooks School at its best. The school mattered to all of these men because it reached them, because time spent here held in them, because they experienced the school at its best at times and in ways that took root. When I think about what I hope we are doing, about what I hope we find our way to doing more and more, I think about our mission, about providing the most meaningful educational experience you will have in your life, about fostering, encouraging, and challenging us to continually make Brooks School at its best better and better. There were so many such moments over the past 6 weeks. The following list captures just a fraction of it all. A group of third formers bravely standing in front of all of us to share their winter term work and craft a land acknowledgement regarding honoring the original inhabitants of this beautiful piece of earth upon which we go to school. The substance of the work and the presentation itself felt like our school at its best to me. All of the Black Student Union's contributions to chapel during Black History Month, sharing the stories of so many heroes who played integral roles in moving the country and world to more just and equitable circumstances. The under-the-radar way in which our Model UN group prepared and performed over a weekend, earning individual and group honors that do say a lot about them and reflect so well on all of us. Selfless, community-minded, engaged citizenship, and certainly our school at its best. Harry Hawkins' talk at the beginning of last week on citizenship, 10 years removed from his time sitting where all of you are. His growth, his message, and his passion for sharing with all of us felt great to me. It left me thinking we should have more young alums back to share with you in that way. All 4 performances of Beauty and the Beast were wonderful, and the fact that 50 of you went twice to support the 2 casts speaks volumes about who we are, even if Chipotle was part of the incentive. The artistic wonder of Malachi Johns, and the way it feels when a head-of-school holiday is just about to be announced. It's so good. A note Ms. Perkins sent to a community service group with a copy to me after they had spent an evening preparing and serving meals at Cor Unum. The extent to which all of them, and so many students who have served before them, have earned the admiration of those who routinely staff that wonderful place was so impressive. Talk about engaged citizenship and our school at its best. This year's Wilder Speaking Prize finals. To do comedy well is hard, and all of them did, bravely, thoughtfully, and in ways that gave all of us a lift at the end of this winter stretch. And our teams, the 3 that have and will continue to win this week, the national champions, the individual performances, the goals and milestones met, and most important to me, the manner in which we compete. We are at our best when we hold ourselves to high standards, and we had many moments when we did just that. I want to close with a note I received from a head of another school earlier in the winter, who wrote me after being impressed with all of you, and I quote, "I can't help these days but find myself, when on other campuses, around other student bodies, watching the community and how they operate. I'm fascinated by what draws these communities together and, as we say, to their best selves, both individually and collectively. I don't have the answer necessarily, but I do know a positive school culture when I see one. Your kids were so clearly connected to each other, a diverse group that was intertwined in all the best ways, coming together in an exuberant show of community. You could see their care for one another, their devotion to the larger entity. However your school has done that, I congratulate you for it. It must be very rewarding. It was inspiring to watch." End quote. As I think about the spring and what awaits us on the other side of the break, I know there will be countless opportunities for all of us to keep being better, to push ourselves to be at our best, to reach one another in ways that might play a part in drawing you back for your grandchild's graduation at 6:30 in the morning, or for lunch in order to visit one more time, or inclined to write to the head of school and share how the school stays in your heart and in your head. We all play a part in helping ensure each of us might feel what these three alums felt late in life. We earn that for one another together. I'm looking forward to the opportunities we will have to be better still, confident about our chances. Enjoy your break, get some rest, and see you in a few weeks. Thank you.